Hello and welcome to Cali Legends Media. I'd like to thank everybody who subscribed to my channel this month. We had a good amount of subscribers that joined, so I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed, if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button down below. Set that notification bell on all so you'll be notified whenever a new video drops or if we go live. Our goal was to hit 7,000 subscribers this month. It looks like we're going to fall short. Right now we're at 6,500. And we have very little time left. Hopefully we make it. If not, well, it'll be in May. And we're still going to do that raffle like I promised. Also, if you like the story, if you could hit the like button. It really helps the channel out, and I'd appreciate it very much. It's a good way to support the channel. Okay, so as you guys know, it's been quiet on YouTube. Not too much cracking. It's pretty much the same old, same old. Mostly the videos are coming from our melanated brothers. They do a lot of videos about Big U and that indictment that he's involved with, him in the Rolling 60s. Or about Whack or Loose or Brick and their phone calls and their statements and what they think about those guys, which is interesting. But you know, that regular flow on the YouTube yard is kind of like slow right now. So I thought I'd just share a story of an interesting time with my homeboy Solo. Rest in peace. He's my homeboy Danny. Danny's Gangster Smiley, and that's his son. Solo's his son. And he was younger than me, but nevertheless, you know, when he grew up, we did the same things that I did with the older homies. He hung around with me. Even when he was little, he used to hang around with the homies. You know, I remember him coming down to the neighborhood with his dad. You know, his dad I think was driving a Volkswagen, little lowered bug, and he'd be standing in the back seat, and the homeboys will be in the car, and they'll be, you know, going around the hood, just doing things, you know. So he picked up a lot of game, listening to them, listening to their conversations, you know, spending time with them, and pretty much just watching, you know. He never really got deeply caught up into the drug scene. Most of his life, he didn't really mess around. Anyways, one day I go to this place, right? It's on I think it was on Dangler Street, man. I had a homie that lived there. He used to be from Fuck the World Stoners, and they started a clique, right, in our neighborhood. And I went over there to one of those homies' houses, and they were in the backyard, and there was a lot of little homies there. They had some girls there too. Everybody's kicking back and partying, but they really didn't. There wasn't really too much going on. You know what I mean? It was. Anyways, let me just tell you what we did to change that. Okay, me and Solo took off, went to this dude's house that used to move stuff in our neighborhood, and when we got there was nobody there. And one of this guy's clients was unlucky enough to show up there, and I just played it off like, you know, I could help him, you know, like I was part of what was going on there in that house. And I ended up getting close enough to grab a hold of him, right? And he started resisting and stuff, and I had him by one arm, and I spun him around and hit him into the side of the window that had these steel bars on them, right? And his head went through, and he got stuck. The bars, I guess, opened up when I you know, hit him against the bars, and his head was stuck, right? Anyways, yeah, poor guy, man. We trimmed him, you know, and we went and bought a bunch of beer to take back over there to party with the homies, right? And after we went to the store, we took a drive by the same house, and they had got there. The people that lived there, the people that were working there got there. So we went over there, and I asked for something, you know, and they complied, you know, for whatever reason they complied. They gave me something to take back with the homies, right? So we go back with the homies, man, and I didn't care about that stuff, you know. I didn't really miss with it, and I just started putting piles on the table, you know, for the homies to go ahead and take a whiff if they wanted, you know. And pisto, yeah. So anyway, so we're partying there, right? And just to show you, you know, when you're young, and the how far you can go when you're young, you know, like you have like this extra strength, like to party all night through the next day, right? And I'm not talking about being on some you know, being on something that picks you up. I'm just saying being able to do that, you know, when you're young like that. Anyways, so you know, we ended up leaving. You know, the little homies had girls dancing on the table, and you know, doing their little lap dances and all that, you know. And they were too young for me at the time, you know. And my homeboy Solo kicked it, and I took off, you know, go do my own thing. Anyways, when the sun came up, I found myself on Whittier and Ford at this donut shop, and you know, I'm getting myself a coffee and a donut, and my oldest son calls me, right? And I don't remember exactly what was going on, but I told him I'd go pick him up. So I went and I snatched him up, right? And in about 3 hours after that phone call, we were in Rosarito Beach, right? Riding horses. We went horseback riding over there on the beach, right? My son had never been horseback riding, but he was a big kid, you know? And he had them fucking balls. He's like, I don't know how to ride them, but come on, let's do it, you know? So he got on the horse, and yeah, we were racing on the beach and the whole thing, you know? We had a good time, and 4th of July was coming up. So we drove, and I picked up some M80s and other fireworks that you can't get over here, right? And it's illegal to cross them over the border, right? But like I said, I hadn't slept, and being, you know, under the influence of alcohol and other things, I just not thinking, you know. I hit them, you know. I stashed them, not that good, but I stashed them, you know. And we're crossing back over the border, back into to come to LA, right? And I talked to the border patrol there. He asked me some questions, whatever, you know, showed him my IDs, me and my son, and asked my son question, and okay, go ahead and go. So there was another border police more down the driveway that I was going, and he was kind of waving and pointing this, you know, like this, but I needed to go straight. I had been cleared, right? And I go and I turn in the way he's pointing, and that's where you turn in, where they take your car apart and then they run the dog through it and everything, right? And when I realized it, I stopped, and I told the guy, I go, hey, I came the wrong way. He goes, just pull in. I go, no, I'm coming the wrong way because the guy told me to go ahead, that I could pass, you know, that to go. Just pull in. And I go back, call him and ask him. I already been cleared. So yeah, he does, and he turns around and he tells me, go ahead, get out of here, right? And I back out and I take off and I come back into LA. Not thinking, you know, or not being able to think and not having a clear head, I almost got caught. And it would have been a stupid charge, carrying explosives over the border, you know what I mean? Or however they would have worded it. But pretty much I would have been screwed, you know what I mean? Not to mention, you know, taking in on that side of the border. And what about my son? Who knows what would happen with him, you know? So it was all bad. A good example that shows that kind of illustrates that, man, if you don't keep your wits about you, and you know, I could have had a good time that night without doing all that madness, you know, but it's just a state of mind and being under the influence that had me doing stupid things to people, and things that jeopardized myself and my son, you know, including our freedom, you know. Anyways, yeah, me and Solo had been through a lot of things in our lifetime. We hung around a lot, and you know, we did what we did, you know. There's another story that this one was leading up to, but really I don't like telling these stories, and I don't really know if you guys really enjoy or appreciate hearing them. So if you want to hear part 2 of this story, which is it's similar to the first part of the story, but in a grander scale, much more larger scale, and like I said, man, it really illustrates a person's thinking, you know, that's not in their right mind doing the right things. You know what I mean? And it's so easy to fall into that situation. It's just by getting high, by drinking, you know, something happens to our natural way of coming to conclusions and making decisions. You know what I mean? And like I said, could very easily cost us our freedom. I'm going to give you the first part of the story with the second part of the story. I'm going to give you the first part, just a little piece of it, okay? So Solo and I were hanging around together and stuff, and pretty much a big part of the second part of the story already passed. This is kind of in the middle of that story. I knew somebody who really wasn't anybody that used to move big quantities of black, right? So I put an order in, and of all places, I met him in front of a junior high school, you know? And this kind of went down bad and kind of funny, you know? But anyway, so dude pulls up, and I get off my car, and I leave my homeboy Solo in the car, and I get in the car with dude, right? And we go around the block. Well, by the time we got around the block and back to my car, I had all of his possessions, and I had the 2 balls of Negra and the stereo. You know, he had a really, really nice Alpine stereo, you know, a pull-out. But it was man, it was nice. Anyways, so I'm getting off the car. I'm back at my car now, and I'm getting off the car. And my little homie Solo, man, he gets off the car, and I had given him this big old blower that I had gotten from the first part of the story. You know, I got a whole you know, those backpacks, the ones they put the books in, a whole backpack of them in the first part of this story, right? And I let him pick the one he wanted, and it was a big old cannon, right? And we're in front of the junior high school. I'm getting off this, you know, the Paisa's car with everything, and I'm trying to be cool, you know, because, you know, the kids are getting out and moving around and stuff, you know, and I got a lot of stuff on me to, you know, to move to the car and stuff, right? I have dude's keys in my hand, and I told the homie, hey, homie, keep an eye on them while I put this stuff in the car. So I'm taking the stuff out the car and stuff. When I look up, the homie's off with that big old cannon, and he has it up in the air like this, just staring at the guy like that. And I tell him, hey, homie, what are you doing, dog? Put this shit down, you know? He goes, well, you said to watch him. I says, yeah, just keep an eye on him. He ain't going nowhere. I got his keys, but just keep an eye, you know? In case he, you know, I searched him, but maybe he might pull something, and I'm putting stuff in the car and stuff. I'm laughing my ass off. Anyways, so we ended up leaving, you know. I threw the dude the keys over his truck into the sidewalk, and I told him, don't go and pick him up until we turned the corner, and we took off, right? And we were staying at a hotel. We were kicking it at a hotel and stuff, right? And if I'm not mistaken, it was no, I'm not gonna say that part of the story because that takes us into a whole other. Put it this way, man. It was a very, very crazy week of man, just like risking everything, just throwing caution to the wind. My homeboy Solo did a lot of time. A lot of people know him. He was a solid homie. He had a lot of wisdom as far as the streets go, as far as the joint goes, and as far as family and stuff too, and friendship. He was a good guy, man. It was a big loss, man. There's not too many people, homies or otherwise, that are cut from that fabric that little homie was cut from. And yeah, I miss him. But anyways, if you want to hear the second part of this story, I'll go ahead and tell it. Just put a number 2 in the comment section, and if this video gets enough views and I see a response to tell the second part of the story, I'll go ahead and say it. But just always keep in mind that I don't want to come across like I'm glorifying that time in my life or anything. It was a difficult time in our lives, and it was actually a very, very troubling time for myself, because I was going through a separation from my kids and that family, which was my first family, and plus I had a very, very, very bad drug problem, that pretty much dictated how I moved, and besides that, I wasn't working at the time, so everything that I had, I was just getting from the street. My cars, the places that I rented and everything. I had to constantly be making money. It was a very, very struggling time in my life. At the time, I just didn't realize it because of being high. You know what I mean? It was just, and not knowing really anything really different. All my life was kind of these kinds of stories. And I wish I would have learned what I know now when I was young. Who knows how far I could have went, but still, nevertheless, I took my exit from that life and just living a normal life and doing my thing, and I'm a lot more happier, a lot less stress, and the chances of me getting incarcerated are very slim, although there's always a chance, Like they say, you could not fuck your freedom off in 1 or 2 minutes. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the little story, and if you want to hear the second part, I'll gladly share it. But we're 18 minutes into this video already. So if you want to hear the second part, I'll kind of do a real quick summary of what I talked to, and then connect the part 2 to it. And yeah, it got pretty crazy, and of course, again, there was these little parties and stuff that my homies were having and stuff, and I was lucky enough to be having enough money and stuff to just go and buy pisto and give the anyways, we'll talk if you guys want to hear the story. Like I said, put a number 2 next to your comment, and I really would appreciate it if you're still with me. Hit that like button. Thank you for watching. God bless you. God bless your families, and hope to see you on the next video. Thank you very much.